Good evening. This will be part two of my session tonight that I was sharing with you about one of the biggest signs to me that the rapture could happen any day is the fact is that things seem to be normal, normal in the sense that there's no major thing happening right now in the world. I know there's wars going on in Syria and there's just turmoil as far as all the signs that we're seeing as far as catastrophes and all these things. But these are just these signs that are happening right now. They're all signs of that our redemption is drawing near. And but there's there's not a major conflict like let's say if war were to break out in the Middle East, and believe me, if it could happen, that could happen any moment. When I say Middle East, I know there's fighting going on in Syria and all that right now, but I'm talking about when any major event like the one that is described in Ezekiel 38 and 39, where Russia and Iran come down with other countries to destroy Israel, and that's a major event. That's a major event where Yahuwah is going to defeat the armies that have come against them. We already see that on the horizon. Those that are paying attention realize that we could be very well within days of something like that happening because all the players are in place that were prophesied that would come against the nation of Israel or Yasharel in the latter days. And believe me, we're in the latter days. But the fact that the Messiah said that, talking about the time of his coming, that it would come upon the earth as a snare, and it will also come upon them in a time frame that nobody was looking for. In other words, they least expected it. He compared it to as a thief in the night, but he also compared it to the fact is that it would. He compared it to the days of Noah and Lot, and the comparison he made, he did. The thing that's interesting about the comparison that he used with the Noah and Lot was that he didn't emphasize the fact that it was such an immoral time, which it was in those cases, of course. And it's really not any more immoral today. In fact, today that we're now living it is it's so ungodly. There's things that are going on that just you can't imagine that these things are happening in the time frame that we're living in, but they are. But he didn't emphasize that as the reason making this comparison. He brought out in his teaching or expounding on this was the fact is that uh, they were eating, drinking, giving in marriage. In other words, he was emphasizing that it was a normal time frame. It was when people were going about their business, doing what they normally do until judgment came, and that's really what the rapture is all about. The rapture is not for the believers. It's not a time of say of Yahuwah's wrath upon us. He's taken us out before he releases that judgment, just like he did with Noah and just like he did with Lot. He removed them from the place of his judgment. And I know Noah was not removed off the earth, but Enoch was. Enoch was raptured before the flood, which I believe is a type of the rapture. Noah and his family was preserved through the flood, but the reason Yahuwah had reasons to preserve them and not take them off the earth because they were used to repopulate the planet after the flood destroyed the earth. So he had a reason to keeping them alive on the earth so they would repopulate the earth after the flood. Of course, Lot was taken out uh, of Sodom and Gomorrah because of and then judgment fell, judgment hit after he was taken out. So the point I'm trying to make is that, um, and in fact, if you read in Revelation chapter 6, where the actual judgments or the sealed judgments begin to be unleashed, one of the first that are released, the sealed judgments, is immediately war breaks out. Now, I believe that that's going to be the the war in Ezekiel 38 and 39 that may happen right after the rapture, and everything is falling in place like right now. Everything, all the players are in place that Ezekiel in chapter 38 and 39 describes, they're already on the scene, and so this could happen any moment. And I believe, like I said, that once the church is taken out, the rapture at the rapture, then the judgment will fall, and I believe those sealed judgments are will be released at that same time. So that's one of the biggest signs that I see so far, and so we'll pick this up on our next time together. And thanks for your sharing this with others. And until then, shalom.